Good evening. Hey Shanaki, I have to watch the episode, today's episode, but I will be watching it tonight during dinner, and then I'll share it. How's everybody doing? Yes, who is here now? Hello!
Hi,
Hi,
good
how's it going?
evening. It's going okay, man.
I won't leave you. I won't leave you. It's all good. No, because I ordered some food and like I just had to go pick it up. So I'm just
Oh,
like
okay,
worried
okay.
that
That's like a short thing. Okay, that's fine.
yeah, of course. I'm not just going to leave you with the internet. But Gianna, thank you so much for making your time. How's your day been?
Oh man, I already told you it's been. I can't lie here and be like, oh, I'm doing great. I'm fucking losing my mind. But yeah, I mean, it's been tough. I know it's been tough for a lot of people though, so I can't like complain. I still have a house and food and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I know. We'll continue this conversation, but before we do, I just want to introduce you. Gianna is an activist when it comes to the environment, and she speaks her mind a lot of the time, which is a good thing. She messaged me with a long essay, which I think we need to dive into today.
Oh
But
God.
besides that, we actually went to the same school. We went
Yeah,
to
I
Stafford.
know. Staffordians.
No, no,
No, it was a
Gianna.
terrible school. I just
But
got off the
Gianna,
phone with a fellow Staffordian.
oh really? Okay.
Yeah, Sergeant.
Well, no, it was good. I made good friends out of it, but there were a lot of questionable
Same.
things about that school. But anyway, Gianna, thank you so much for making the time. Please tell us
Thank
all
you, man.
about you. Why are you so passionate about breaking the system?
This is exactly the reason why I knew I was like, are you sure you want to have me on this? Um, but yeah, tell you about me. Yeah, I didn't even know where to start, man. I'm getting like uh, live video stress
Let me
here.
guide you. Let me guide you. Why are you so passionate? Why are you so passionate about the environment? Why is the environment so important to you?
I mean, I don't think it's a subjective thing there, like if it's just important to me. I think it's important to everybody. It's just that realization of okay, yeah, this is something that's very important to me, actually, to my existence and my life. um, so yeah, I don't know, ever since I was a kid, really, I have always felt this really strong pull towards animals, trees, nature, basically. And uh, yeah, that's been my life's passion for a long time. So, I mean, you said tell you a little bit about me. Before this whole pandemic situation had us locked up, um, I was one of the national coordinators for Extinction Rebellion branch in Sri Lanka. I was doing a bit of freelance writing, safari guiding, so like naturalist stuff in Yala with Ceylon Wild Safaris, and I was about to set up my own company for sustainability consultancy. So that's for hospitality industry, to help the hospitality industry and to help the environment on the other hand. So that just went down the shitter with the whole lockdown scene, and our tourism is taking it hard. So yeah, um, yeah, that's pretty much where the passion comes from, because I like, what are we without air to breathe, water to drink? Like everything comes from nature. We are a part of nature, so we need to be fighting really hard to protect it. And like, I mean, right now I'm talking about the pandemic and stuff. It's crazy because this isn't being spoken about enough. Like what's happening environmentally right now, just in Sri Lanka, while this lockdown and curfew is in place. Like they are damming the Kaluganga, they are mining in parts of Singharaja for limestone. Mahamali floodplains is, even without the pandemic, there's crazy sort of sand mining and all sorts of ecological terrors going on there. And this lockdown has provided like a really great safe passage for all the illegal environmental ongoings in this country. That's pretty scary, actually, and really stressful. for the people that are following that and what's going on with it. And I mean, it's sad in a way too, because a lot of the people who are involved in these illegal activities of mining sand or limestone or damming the rivers and such, mining, treasure hunting, gem mining, all that, they are really poor people, man, like from poor areas. And right now everybody's struggling financially because of the pandemic. So you can't blame them as well for having to take to these means to put food on the table for their family and stuff, you know. So it's like you want an outlet for this anger. You're seeing the destruction of the environment and these beautiful ecosystems that really, some of them don't exist anywhere else in the world. Yeah, you can't really blame the people for it. It's really a systemic issue. Like, that's why it comes back down to the system. And yeah, that's
Why
roundabout
aren't
answer to your
these
question.
people, obviously this is yes, this is their job, this is their income stream, and it's important to them, and they could care about the environment as well, but they need to supply for their families, etc. But why aren't governments or their own societies or any institution giving them information of that there's more jobs out there, that is more available than doing this?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, this is funny because on my previous phone call with my friend, I just said, like, I have to be really careful about how, like, what I say here and how I express my opinion on some of these issues. But just for example, the
Let
sand
me just say,
mining issue.
before you go on, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. There is
Yeah,
no
yeah,
hate
I
here.
know,
Like, if you
100%.
want to speak, you speak. Like, I'm not stopping you at all.
Yeah, no, I don't feel any pressure from you. It's just like, oh, the interwebs, everything's being recorded,
The
the
internet.
government. I love the government. But no, I mean, with the sand mining example alone, like, a lot of these illegal activities are politically backed, especially in the third world, in Sri Lanka. Like, there's no proper way to go about this stuff. Like, you cannot actually, like, activists cannot easily take this through the legal system and get this stuff stopped. And in terms of disseminating information, like, sure, when you're living, like, rural people have, like, very few options. It's either remain in these rural areas and make some sort of income from your environment, because they're close to the jungle, they're close to the river, they can be farmers, they can be miners, they can rear animals, like, whatever it is, they're primary industry. And the other option is moving into the big cities, right? And it's pretty sad, because if they, I mean, I'm getting so off topic here. I do this all the time. I'm so sorry, but
It's fine. Tangents are welcome.
Great. Their option of moving to the city, like, the people who are really suffering right now. I'm not talking about us, like, losing our minds by being stuck at home. The people who are really suffering are the urban poor. Like, the rural poor, okay, they're at the end of the socioeconomic spectrum, but they have food growing in their gardens. They have a much more interconnected community spirit with their neighbors and their families, and it's a lot of generations living together and stuff. It's like that in the city too, but now with this crisis, those of us that live in cities really see, like, oh yeah, how fucked we are. Like, we rely on supermarkets. We are living in a house next to a ton of other houses. Like, not everybody is privileged enough to also have, like, a great block of nature out there, like a garden, or being able to grow their own food, have access to clean water. So yeah, again, it just brings me back to that initial point that I said, like, it's a systemic problem, and how all our life choices are centered around making money, hence moving to the city, blah, blah, blah. And the other option that these rural people have is, yeah, like I said, make money from the environment around them. And when there's a much more profitable avenue that they can take, like illegal gem mining or poaching, or, you know, of course they're going to go for that. It's just, that's just logic. And when they can see that the government departments are not really doing anything about it, or are intertwined with the illegal activity itself, because the ministers are making money off it. So yeah, it's just a whole big cycle of exploitation and corruption. And that's worldwide.
Yeah,
It's not just here. Yeah.
absolutely. And I think here's the thing, right? We as a community, our voices do matter. Like the more we scream, the more we make noise, things are noticed. But at the end of the day, it takes the government to bring about legislation to actually stop these things from happening, right? And when
That's
these
true.
farmers are bankrolled behind these people, it's not going to be easy to get these things initiated and pushed, right? So let's talk about XR for a second, Extinction Rebellion. So I've personally attended two of their strikes. I've been supporting Extinction Rebellion Sri Lanka as much as I possibly can. Um, I advocate against climate change as much as I possibly can. I do things that I can in my capacity, like buy a keep cup, go for a strike, use social media to highlight these issues, do as much as reduce my carbon footprint as much as I possibly can. Here's the thing. Do you think that Extinction Rebellion has the potential to make a difference?
I mean, sure, like they already are making a difference. And I mean, our Sri Lankan chapter is pretty small in terms of members and scope, and also because of the nature of our government, we can't carry like a hardcore anti-government sentiment without putting ourselves at risk. But yeah, all over any sort of community groups that have kindness as their core principle are making a difference, because really it comes down to like each and every one of us evaluating our own impact on the environment and the people around us. And that's, again, I want to bring it back to the question you asked me, like, why do I want to fight the system or whatever? Again, it's a systemic problem. Like, we have been pitted against one another in this competitive economy that is based on profit and accumulating wealth and capital when it really means nothing. And the environment and the poor people in this world are the ones that are paying the price of that. So yeah, like all these groups like Extinction Rebellion and animal save movements and tree planting activities and all this stuff is making a difference. Like every small thing every individual does, I believe, makes a difference and has, butterfly effect. It has a knock-on domino effect, and if you're doing things, making positive changes, that is going to have a positive effect somewhere. So yeah, they have the capacity to make a difference. And one of the things I wanted to talk about here as well was in terms of kindness. Like, that's what this whole life is about, right? Like, we are trying to spread kindness and lift people's spirits and, have these interesting kind of insightful conversations to wake people up. And one of the issues that people really need to start thinking about while we have this time to reflect is about our diets and about how, we have, what's the count now for like corona deaths? I didn't check it yet.
I will Google that as you keep talking.
But yeah, so anyway, the number of like how crazy the world has gone about this coronavirus.
53,179.
53,000. Okay, so 53,000 deaths so far. And like, don't get me wrong, man, people dying is sad. And there are people and families grieving right now. Can you close my door, please? There's my brother giving me information saying there's been like 3 more deaths. Because I've had to give myself like a break from looking at the numbers all the time and always
Same.
checking the media.
I don't look at the numbers either. It's too much.
Yeah.
It's too much. I keep away from the news.
Yeah. I mean, I've had to give myself a break as well. My boyfriend was checking like every second. It was too much. But yeah, so we see what the world has come to right now because of this virus, like economic standstill almost, and people freaking out, panic buying. Shops don't have toilet paper. Businesses are shutting down. Like millions of people filing for bankruptcy. It's crazy. And this is 53,000 deaths, you said. So when it comes to our diets and how we exploit animals, there is about 150 billion animals that get slaughtered a year that do not need to be slaughtered just so we can satisfy our taste buds. When, you can do something like an Oxford study because you also mentioned that, you try what you can to reduce your carbon footprint and your ecological impact. An Oxford study showed that the biggest way to reduce your carbon footprint is by going vegan. And the way this relates to the pandemic and the crisis right now is that I posted this on my story a few days ago, and I stand so strongly with this statement that COVID-19 would not exist in a vegan world. Like, if we look back historically at Mars and SARS, at MERS and SARS, see, I'm really losing my mind, and avian bird flu and swine flu and like AIDS, like so many of the diseases that have ravaged the human population, even though this is not ravaging the population yet, I'd say, have all come from animals. And it's also because of the way we treat these animals while we have them. Like, they're stacked in cages on top of each other. They're like shitting on each other. They are like full of each other's excrement and blood and pus. And of course, viruses and stuff are going to develop in these kind of conditions. And this, like, we can think about it now, but this is every single day of these animals' lives is like this. So by literally making this small change of going vegan, we are doing the biggest thing we can for climate change, because animal ag is the leading cause of greenhouse gas emissions. We're putting ourselves out of that susceptibility range of contracting the leading killers of humankind, apart from corona, meaning high cholesterol, so heart disease and cancer, all the stuff that kills us. Another huge problem is antibiotic resistance, which nobody talks about, but the numbers of people that can die because of antibiotic resistance in the next few decades will also dwarf the numbers that people are dying of corona right now. Like, the corona death rate is actually really small when you look at the global population. So yeah, global pandemics, the environment, the fact that billions of sentient, innocent animals do not have to be killed every year, your health. There are so many reasons to do it, and that's why, like, this is actually a positive thing for the activists and for environmental spokespeople right now. They can use this opportunity and the opportunity of people sitting at home to wake them up and be like, oh yeah, how did COVID-19 start? Let's think about that. And then let's reflect, because we have so much time for reflection. How do we live our lives? Like, what do we eat? What media do we consume? The conversations we have with people, like how much adds value to your life and how much is emanating positivity and change. Otherwise, like, what is the point of life, really, unless you're doing something
Absolutely.
to help other people. Yeah.
No, for sure. And I think, just to add to that, like, I've been I've been making the active effort to go vegan for a little bit now. And I actually get made fun of all the time when my friends think about me going vegan. It's a thing. But I know how much it can help. Like, if you scroll through my Instagram, I used to do food and travel reviews. So I used to eat like a motherfucking pig. Like, I used to eat like a lot, like all the shit that I have reduced eating now. And basically, like, I'm trying my best. I haven't purchased chicken in at least close to 6 months now. Like, any chicken at all.
That's awesome. Chicken is the worst for antibiotic resistance.
Right. So, and also, like, I make like a vegetarian, like, fried rice, and I still eat eggs. That's the only thing I haven't, like, stopped purchasing yet. And yeah, I don't, like, it's just fried rice and like my eggs that I eat. And the occasional, like, when I eat out, I have something. So right now, what I'm trying to do is, just for the people who are watching and the people who watch later, like, going vegan can be quite difficult because we're used to a certain way of living, right? So how I do it is I'm phasing it. So I phased out chicken. Now what I'm trying to do is, like, I only eat meat if I order in or if I go out.
Mm-hmm.
The other times, I try to not eat meat at all. So at home, which is most of my diet, being an international student, like, eating out is not exactly cheap.
Yeah.
Today was like one of my cheat days, like not cheat days, but like one of my days where I was just like, fuck it, I want some food. But like, it's not, it's not cheap to buy from out. So like, what I do is I try to eat like a vegetarian fried rice and egg, pretty much. That's and a banana, like bananas for breakfast. But the thing
Yeah.
is, it's not easy, right? But I also believe that if you as an individual stop as much as you can, and Sri Lanka is like a beautiful place to be vegan. Like rice
A
and curry
rice
is
and
vegan.
yeah, it's based exactly. You just took the words
Yeah,
out of
so
my mouth.
like so like it is literally the best place for you to like convert slowly but surely. It's going to be difficult, it's not going to be easy, but if you want your future generations to have some sort of life, it starts with you making like an active effort now. So yeah, I just want to add my point. I think Gianna is stuck. Oh, there you're back. Okay. But yeah, I just said that I don't know if you heard you're back. I just said that if you want to make a difference for your future generations, like you have to start making an effort now. Because everything you do now is
Can
going
I
to
just
ripple effect
interject
into the
for a
future.
second? Yeah,
Interject away.
100%. Um, like the thing is, like all this stuff that I blurted out so like haphazardly, um, it really comes down to the education of it. Like you reached a point from however that happened, and we can talk about that like off this live because I'm just interested. That you gain the information to make that conscious decision. And in this day of information, everything is available for us to learn about the health effects, about the climate effects, about the conditions and what the animals go through, about the greenwashing associated with animal agriculture, grass-fed, this, blah, 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 free range. It's all like the same thing, basically. And when those decisions come from inside you because you have educated yourself on the topic, or by chance you watched a live video with two people talking about it and then you started thinking, oh shit, yeah, I don't know about this. When those decisions come from inside you, they're actually not that hard. What's hard is breaking the habit, because we've been doing this for, like this is a norm in society and we all grew up eating meat. Like even for me, I ate because I didn't have any religious barriers or anything like that before I really switched on about this issue. I ate every type of meat and I enjoyed it a hell of a lot. Pork, beef, chicken, anything, like, and every day, almost every meal at least, there was animal products. But yeah, once you understand the whole bigger picture, there's really no option. You can see that everything is pointing in the vegan direction for the choice that you have to make. And like this is where people are going to get their feathers ruffled, like, and challenge me if you want, but the only positive in continuing to eat animal products is taste, our taste buds, and it being a habit. But yeah, and it ties up with what I was saying earlier about how you live in a city and we buy food from the supermarket, and we're on this like matrix autopilot mode in our day-to-day lives, like eat and go to work and so busy, and you're not having that time to connect with nature and connect with animals, and those moments give you that like eureka moment where you're like, holy shit, like I eat this animal. And that's really weird because I'm just connecting with it right now, and it's sentient. It's like a dog. It's like a baby human. Yeah, so people living in cities, they have less opportunities to have those moments, and they're not thinking as much about where did the food on my plate come from and how did it get to me. And this is not just in terms of animal products. It's also like your vegetables and stuff, because a lot of things are really unethical in how they're grown, or they're full of pesticides and fertilizers. And it's, again, circles back to a systemic problem. Like people do not have that autonomy in their lives to, such a basic thing such as food, knowing where did that food come from, how did it get to me. And it has probably been like, some of the food, it's been shipped and then flown and then grown somewhere else, and like it's crazy. And that's a systemic problem. Yeah, that's capitalism at its finest. Like we don't even know where our food comes from anymore.
Yeah. And I
So,
think
yeah.
there's two stigmas, right? Like when it comes to meat, one is obviously the taste, like everything tastes better, but the other thing is protein sources, right? If anyone has the time, watch this Netflix documentary called Game Changers. It's actually proven
Yes.
that you can get more protein sources from being
Plants,
vegan or at
yeah.
least being vegetarian over eating meat. So the thing is, they also specify that there's still studies going on about this. It's not 100% proven, but there's still studies going on about it, and that's something that I want to try going forward as well. So just to add to what you were saying.
Yeah, no, 100%. A lot of the information out there that I was talking about is in documentaries and in, just specific activists that are on social media talking about this, getting this information out there, because big agriculture is a huge force to be reckoned with in this world, and they are not going to spoon feed you that information. Like most nations in the world, it is illegal to film a factory farm, even from public property, public spaces. You can go to jail for that. You can be labeled as an eco-terrorist for just trying to get information out there and show people hey, this is how you get your food. Why should that be illegal? When you're trying to show people how their food comes to them, that just shows how bad it is. So all this information is been buried. It's been buried from us for years. But now in this age of information, there are so many activists and so many documentaries and so many things you can do to educate yourself. And we have no excuse not to educate ourselves at a time where sickness is high, pandemics are breaking out. The fucking climate is our biggest existential crisis right now, actually. So yeah, that's just one thing. We really need to push people.
Yeah, and just to continue the conversation about that. So let's talk about the welfare bill for a second. I've actually read through the welfare bill just a bit, and I was actually having a chat with my partner about it because she used to work for people who she could get the access from the bill. So she was basically saying it has to come from the government to make meaningful change to pass that bill. And there's so many loopholes within that bill. I was having a bit of a skim through it. There's so many loopholes within that bill. The right people are not pushing it because they're not prioritizing it. And they're basically just being ignorant because it affects them in so many ways.
But what is your personal opinion about with the animal welfare bill, that campaigning has kind of gone on hold right now because of Corona and stuff. But what we were getting at and what we were learning, well, first of all, getting into that whole welfare bill scene just showed us how much bureaucracy our government processes take. Also the information is so distorted within the environmental field in this country. There's so much fragmentation. So you ask one person about the bill, they tell you this. You ask another person about the bill, they tell you this. So we've spoken to lawyers and writers and people on the steering committee, and the important things I think that people should take away is that not everyone on the steering committee is an animal lover and hardcore environmentalist and animal warrior or something like that. One of the reasons actually that the bill has been held up for so long, and it was originally drafted in 2006, I'm sure you know that, is because of the poultry industry and because of the ramifications, despite all the loopholes that an animal welfare bill will have on animal agriculture. And people are all down to come and demonstrate and post about animals when they're looking at pictures of elephants or videos of elephants and dogs and cats and stuff being mistreated or abused. But the most abuse actually goes on the farms. And those are the animals that everyone forgets about because we don't want to think about that because we're eating them. And so that's one of the reasons the bill has been held up. And now we're not going to really see what happens until after the elections, since that also got postponed because of COVID.
I think they're afraid of their whole system being affected. For example, if the poultry industry is affected, the restaurant business is affected. If the restaurant business is affected, it could affect income flows, tourism, all those things, especially in the hotel sector. So it's a bunch of things. But the thing is, there are alternatives. It's not the end of the world, especially like I said in Sri Lanka with all the spices and coconut oil and all of those things that we have. Is it really the worst thing in the world to switch to a rice and curry? That's not that doesn't have chicken in it. Imagine what okay. So in my head, I don't plan on having kids, but I'm just imagining if I do have kids one day and they have kids one day, right? they're going to live in such a fucked up earth,
It's not even a case of
because
if,
of our
it's
actions.
definite. For sure. Like, I mean, any time now that I hear from somebody that they're pregnant or they've just had a kid, my initial instinctual reaction is like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. But it's like, I need to like stop myself and be like, that's not normal. Yeah, yeah. Congratulations. But yeah, I feel you, man. Like, even we're going to see huge changes during our lifetime, but definitely the next generation, they're going to get the worst of it environmentally, and also if we don't change our mentalities and how we interact with each other. And this all stems from a huge like philosophical revolution, I'd say. And like, I just read this comment here earlier, and this was one of the questions as well that I was given on my story when I put this little question thing up. You asked me. Talal says
Yep.
all of it may have started because of industrialization, but capitalism is the only way to reverse all the damage caused. And like I just said and looked back with all the arguments we have already discussed, it all links back to systemic issues. So I just want to, for the record, go and disagree with that statement, because how can we expect something that is causing the problem to solve the problem? Like, that's a great quote. Actually, there was one by Albert Einstein that's like, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results or something like that. And that's what we're doing with staying with this neoliberal political model, and with trying to let capitalism solve all our problems when it comes to climate change and when it comes to
So
disparity.
the quote goes, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results.
Yeah, I got pretty close, not bad.
Pretty close.
But yeah, so that's what I mean. Like, we can't expect the issues we have now to be solved by this system. It's just not going to happen. Like, that is why
What if there is a completely different body in that system? What if there's more change makers within that system trying to make a difference? Would that work?
you broke up a little bit. What if there's more of a what?
Oh, no. So I said, what if the bodies within the system are different people, like people who actually believe in change, and like we have people who, what do you think?
I still stay with my stance, really, because we have had really great people within the system before, and we've had a lot of change makers come to power in all different countries around the globe, and have had very little fruition in terms of bringing about real change. Because firstly, capitalism is a fossil-based economy. Like, it is all fossil-based growth. And the whole system is reliant on constant economic growth, which means the constant extraction and the constant use of resources, which are not finite. This is all like basic economics. So how can we expect constant economic growth without constant depletion of resources, exploitation? And when you have a system based on profit, it's how much can I gain spending as less as I can. So that's why we have shit conditions for animals and shit worker conditions and people being paid like $1 a day in factory lineup, stuff like that. So we can't really expect that every single leader all over the globe is going to want to push and make this change. It's just not possible under capitalism. And this is also not to say that I'm like a lefty or a commie or anything. But yeah, that is indisputable facts about capitalism. It's based on constant economic growth and constant resource depletion. So yeah, it is all systemic issues, and what we require is like a global wave of people waking up and consciousness to realize what we're doing to ourselves and the planet, because we are a part of nature. Like, anarchy, this is such a distorted word, but it's literally the antithesis of hierarchy. And right now we are living in a hierarchy where the 1% rules, and where the very bottom of that pyramid is nature, and then above them it's, you know, all the other oppressed minorities, and as the pyramid goes up. But changing that system would destroy this hierarchy and give us back that power, that autonomy, that sense of being special and not just being a tiny cog in this machine. Like, it, because of the competitive nature of capitalism, we are also forced to compete with our neighbor and try to do better than the people around us, when we should be extending our hands and helping our neighbor. So yeah.
Yeah. Agreed. I think to rebuild, we need a bit of destruction. And I think that starts with organizations like Extinction Rebellion doing what they do. And then it takes all of us to like stand up and make a difference. Jeana, I'm going to let you go soon, but I just have two more questions for you. It's combined into one. Where can people find you in terms of social media? And also, any final thoughts? But like in that final thought, I'd like you to tell us what you think about what kindness is in your life. But before you answer that, I just want to say thank you for coming on. And I think I'm going to make this show like a weekly thing after things die down. And I'd love to have you back so that we can tackle like certain topics and we can continue this discussion, because I think we need more people like you in the right platforms talking about things like this. I truly believe that. So yeah, the internet is yours.
The internet is mine, the interwebs. Wait, what was the question again? That was two wrapped into one?
Where can people find you in terms of social media, and what does kindness mean to you?
Oh yeah, the social media thing is just this account. That's all really. I have a Facebook, but I don't use it. So just this account. And yeah, kindness. Kindness is thinking beyond what we can do that makes us feel better. Is what you can actually do that will really make a difference. And not just to people, like we shouldn't be speciesist here, because the biggest injustice on this planet in history is the injustice against animals and the exploitation and abuse and torture of innocent sentient animals. So one of the biggest things you can do if you want to be kind is be kind to the animals that are dying in the slaughterhouses now because of our habits and consumption choices. Avoid pandemics, go vegan. Improve your health, go vegan. Save the animals, go vegan. Save the climate, go vegan. Like, that's my final thoughts, yeah.
Amazing. Jeana, thank you so much for taking the time, and I can hear it from your voice that you're very passionate about these things. Oh, no worries. Like, I just want you to know that this conversation doesn't end here, and I think I want to keep having you on this so that we can keep pushing this message across.
Like, man. Like, what you're doing is great, honestly. Like, it's so commendable that you've actually given so many different people this platform to actually speak about it. I was, like, kind of nervous to come on and talk about this stuff here, but
you did amazing.
It was great. I would definitely come back. Thank you. You did too.
Yes. All right, I gotta go, but thank you so much, Jeana. I will talk to you soon.
Yeah, man. Talk to you soon. Enjoy your dinner.
See ya. Alright guys, thank you so much. I'll be taking a quick break. My food is here, but I will have my dinner and I'll be back with my last guest. I hope you guys can tag along. It's Senani who's going to come on and have a chat with us. So see you guys soon.